Today's class is for beginners and it's all about balance. So I would suggest, depending on where you're at, to get a chair, possibly a folding chair if you have, or some kind of other chair, dining room table chair. That's about this height, about hip height to waist height would be great. I've also got at the other end yoga blocks. So if you have something like that that's a little bit lower that you want to use, go ahead and use that. So I'm just going to run through with you some different beginning balances. I had done an advanced class and it can be quite challenging and we all need to improve our balance. So let's start from here. I want you to stand with feet about hip distance apart. And I want you to stand stacked. So we are going to have the ears over the shoulders over the hips over the feet. I want you to stand, draw the tailbone down a little bit. So we don't want the butt sticking out, and we don't want to get too arched in the back or anything. So just get nice and tall. Relax the shoulders and start noticing where the weight is in your feet. You may feel that it's in the heels, and you feel that you're tilting back, so you can bring that weight a little forward into the balls of the feet and try to balance it out a little bit. Shoulders relaxed. Start taking some nice deep breaths. And just kind of notice what goes on with the body. Close the eyes here. And you can just stay here for several breaths, just noticing what happens with the body. You may notice that you feel some swaying going on. It could be like little circles or back and forth. You feel the weight going back into the heels. If you do, just bring it a little bit more forward. If you feel it too much into the balls of the feet, see if you can even it out a little bit. This is a great place to start. And you can stay here for several breaths, playing around with just opening or closing the eyes, and just noticing with the body. Next, you're going to take one foot in front of the other. It's not like a step, so we aren't stepping. We're going to have the toe, the back foot, that toe touching the front heel. On these, it's best to take your gaze a little bit down and forward. As you feel you're gaining balance, you can start lifting your gaze up. That becomes a little bit more challenging. Again, try not to put all the weight in that back foot. Even the weight out, so you feel fairly equal weight, front and back foot, and make sure the tailbone draws down, your shoulders relaxed. Stay here for several breaths. If you start feeling pretty steady, I'm going to start closing the eyes a little bit. You can just blink a little bit, kind of slowly blink and open. Notice how much more challenging that is. After you've played around that side, simply change sides. Opposite foot in front, back toes touching the front heel. Get yourself stacked. Get the weight even onto both feet. Relax the shoulders. Again, with this, you can stay and just play around for several breaths. Play around with closing the eyes slowly, maybe reopening them. Also, when you start getting into balancing poses, sometimes things become really challenging and we just can't seem to catch our balance. That's where it's nice to have, if you're in front of a wall, you can just kind of find a spot on the wall, keep your gaze in that spot. You can also just lightly touch the hand to the wall as you start balancing and maybe lifting one foot off or something. So we don't want to lean into that arm. If you're using it with the fingers to touch, just lightly touch. And always keep the gaze focused. If your eyes start darting around, then that's where your balance is going to go. So keep the eyes really focused and start looking forward and down versus up. As you become more balanced, start lifting your gaze up. Tree pose. Tree pose has 3 different positions. Position 1 is just taking the heel over the ankle of one foot. The knee opens out to the side. Again, the tailbone draws down. We want to get nice and stacked. Shoulders over the hips, ears over the shoulders. We lengthen. So when we lengthen, we don't arch the back. When we lengthen, we lift up, lengthening through the spine. Like somebody has a suction cup on top of your head, they're pulling and lifting you up, and you just feel yourself growing a little taller. You can also feel kind of hugging in of the hips here. Relax the shoulders. If you feel balanced here, then you can go to position number 2 in tree pose. And that's going to be the foot onto the calf. Knee opened out to the side. You can do any hand position. The hand positions can be down by your sides, at your heart, out to the side, overhead, interlacing the fingers, whatever works for you. Let that be. Keep the knee open again. Notice we kind of sink into the hip, hug the hip in, grow a little taller. Position number 3 is foot all the way up onto the inner thigh towards the groin. Try not to rest it on the inside of the knee. That's not good. So grab the foot, lift it all the way up. Sorry about that. That's real life. Press the foot into the thigh, press the thigh into the foot, hug the hip in. Again, hand positions anywhere that you want. Hugging the low ribs in. And just challenge yourself with a breath. You can stay here 3 breaths to 10 breaths. If you're feeling more challenged or balanced, you can increase that or decrease it if it's just not your day today. Place the foot down and always change sides. Another balance is we can come into a warrior position, like warrior 3. This is where it's really good when you're starting out. So one-legged pose, have your hands onto the back of the chair. Then you're going to simply just float one leg up and try to keep the hips square so we don't want to open out to the side. Keep the hips square. Just start leaning over. Keep the standing leg a little soft. Then you just come back up. Change sides with that. If that's feeling pretty good and you want to go a little lower, you can go over, use something that's a little lower. You can even use the seat of the chair. Spin that top leg down so the toes point straight down, and try not to sink the chest towards the floor, but keep a little lift, and that's going to help. That's going to engage the core there and hug the low ribs in. And then just change sides. If you're feeling really balanced one day and you have gone past the chair, gone past the blocks, then you come in with free form, all by yourself. And again, hand position can be back by the hips, they can be out to the side, they can be overhead. Warrior 3 is a little bit more advanced. Next is just one-legged. You can just shift the weight to one leg, get hugging the hips in. We're always taking those muscles and hugging the muscles into ourselves. Start floating the knee up, keep your eyes focused, maybe just grab the knee and hug it in. Just stay here a few breaths. Once you feel you've conquered this, then you take it a little bit further. Hug the knee in. Maybe you're going to go with your peace fingers, grab the big toes, stand up nice and tall. You can either stay here or maybe start extending the leg out in front of you, maybe even out to the side. Come back through. You can also make this into a little twist. One leg floats up. You can place either the hand to the outside of the knee, start spinning your chest, the other direction. That's what happens when your eyes dart around. Reach back. If you want to take this further, you can grab the outer edge of the foot, extend that leg straight out in front of you. Keep growing tall. Next, we're going to take it down to the floor. So you come down onto hands and knees. Hands will be under the shoulders, knees will be under the hips. You're going to take one leg out behind you. You're going to take the opposite hand out in front of you. Take your gaze straight down to the mat. Don't lift your chin and look forward. That's bad on the neck. Keep that lifted leg internally rotated, toes pointed towards the floor, thumb pointed towards the sky. Keep the supporting arm really strong. So try not to sink into the shoulder where you're dipping down, but keep it really strong. Hug into yourself. When you've done that, you simply change sides. Opposite leg, opposite hand. a little side plank, low side plank, kind of the same thing. We're just going to come over to the side. You're going to let the bottom leg go out behind you. Supporting arm, you're going to float the top leg up, flex the foot. You can keep your hand to your hip. You can take it straight up to the sky, or you can reach it overhead. And these you can take piece by piece, starting where you want to start. That also is a good balancing. So these poses I just showed you, you can take them at your own pace, mix them up, do some one day, do others the next day, pick and choose. Just find your focus when you're doing these. Hug your muscles in without tensing yourself up. Keep breathing while you're doing these. Real easy to hold the breath. And gain your balance. Get stronger with your balance. Keep yourself safe. Hope you enjoyed this. Peace. Thank you. Please feel free to subscribe. I would love that. And also maybe give me a thumbs up.